And we say welcome to Ahmed.
Yes, hello Ahmed. We wait another minute or so till more students take part in this webinar.
Hello.
Hello. Where are you from, Ahmed?
Hi, nice to meet you. I live in Amsterdam, but I'm originally from Egypt.
Okay, all right. And for how long have you been living in Amsterdam now?
I've been living for 4 years now.
Okay. And what have you been doing in the past 4 years?
A lot. I've been working, and I also have medical background for dentistry.
Okay.
But I didn't continue, and I want to switch to another career for IT.
Okay, Amsterdam. Yeah, there you have University of Amsterdam or University of Applied Sciences, Amsterdam. I think they also offer IT programs, or maybe only in Dutch. I don't know really.
Yeah, I think it's in Dutch language for Hogeschool van Amsterdam. There's also an option for Fontys and Eindhoven that they have a February semester or February intake.
Yeah.
That's a good chance for me.
Okay. All right. But this webinar is about ICT business. That's your specific interest?
Yeah, and until now I didn't choose yet, but I'm getting information from every specialization.
Okay. Yeah, you know, probably this week we have a lot of webinars. This is one of them. In 1 hour, we do ICT technology. Tomorrow we do, if I'm not wrong, media design and infrastructure. And on Thursday, we will do specializations. And on Friday, the accelerated program. So my colleague, Mrs. Elga, she's now typing this overview. So please have a look at it.
Okay.
What to do, Matthijs? You want to?
Yeah, one attendee, it makes it very easy.
Yeah.
We make it a private session.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I can start anyway. It will be recorded. What I will do is I will give a quick overview of what we do within Fontys. How the different profiles and different specializations are related to each other.
Yes, that's good.
Are interlinked, and I continue a little bit on business, which is then relevant for the video.
Okay. And to Ahmed, whenever you have questions, you can ask them in the chat or live if you want to, no problem. Just ask us all your questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matthijs, the floor is yours now.
Thank you. Go ahead. I will start with introducing myself. 𝗪𝗁𝗁𝗂𝘀𝗶. I'm a teacher within the ICT and business profile of Fontys. And with us we have 𝗪𝗁𝗁𝗀 and 𝗹𝗲𝗿𝗀, who are both administrative with respect to international students and drafting. And we have Anna, who is a 3rd semester student with us. So she knows all the ins and outs of being a student and the curriculum itself. If I go into the presentation, we're looking at Fontys University of Applied Sciences, and specifically the ICT programs on the campus of Eindhoven. And the picture you saw before was the board we had from Student Association. And if I go into the perspective of ICT in general, we have on one hand technology, but that closely interacts with human behavior, or human interaction. Looking at our program, we have 5 profiles: the technology, infrastructure, software, business, and media. Going from a more tech-driven motivation or incentive to a more human-driven incentive. And as you can see, the ICT and business is more towards human, or more towards human interaction, to be precise. Media, as Leo was saying earlier, is giving in a separate seminar. And that really involves building websites, making user interfaces, user interaction. And within business, we are more interested in the human interaction with a technical aspect. And I will dive into that in the second part of the presentation. Let's follow up. To make it a little bit more complex, as of the second year, we are going to add more specializations to the mix. That can go with security, that can be with game design, artificial intelligence. But that's something you will see in the second part of the year. Oh, sorry, in the second part of your studies. I go back one slide. In the first year, you're going to make 2 semesters. And the first semester is with respect to making a choice which profile you want to have. Business, infrastructure, technology, media, or software. And in the second half of the year, that's the second semester, you will follow one of these main profiles. And that profile will then be followed in the second and the third semester. In the fourth semester, by then you have spent 1.5 years with us. You're going to look at your specialization. And then at the start of the third year, you have an internship and you return to your main study program, doing an extra minor and a graduation in your last year. That means that you have 1 semester or 1.5 year of introduction, orienting on what suits you best, a total of 3 semesters or 1.5 years in-depth discussion with respect to a profile. And in this case, we talk about ICT and business. To make this mix more interesting, you're going to get an extra specialization and a minor. And to top it off, you will have 1 year of work experience. So that's roughly the whole program. If I'm going to focus on those 1.5 years, maybe 2 years that you really are going to work with ICT and business, and maybe if you do your internship there as well, you actually end up with 3 years. I try to go down to 4 main questions. Questions I frequently hear from students. Do I make money? What do I become? What are we going to do? And what should I be good at? And those 4 questions are, I think, personally also the main thing or the main reason to choose for a study. Is it going to be fruitful? Do I want to work in this field of operation for the next 40 years? Because that's roughly the time span that we're lining you up for. And of course, you need to know what you're going to do. Is it something that interests you? And do you qualify? So starting with, do I make money? I can answer this one in general for ICT. There's a lot of jobs. There's a huge gap in supply and demand. To throw in something business. There's a lot of job offers out there, and at the moment, a lot less engineers to fill them up. That means that there are a lot of jobs, but also that means that there's good money to be made. And you will be working in a field that allows and demands a lot of changes. So that if you are a dynamic player, you will have a very varied job, which also allows for a lot of growth. So, and with growth, there comes money. And the only way to prove it is to do a quick search on one of the vacancy sites of the Netherlands. I looked at the Indeed, which is a quite big organization with respect to vacancies. And with just searching on the query of ICT and business, I got over 800 pages. Well, then the question is, of course, is this relevant? So I picked out 2 vacancies that would be relevant to an IT and business student that just graduated. Sorry. The first one is a traineeship with Young Capital, quite a big organization with a huge potential to kickstart your career. And the second one is the IT and data advisor. Sorry, the application is in Dutch because it is for the Dutch government. But also within the Netherlands, also within government, it is possible to have an international background. And actually, we try to advertise to allow more diversity within our different organizations. So from a non-native Dutch-speaking perspective, this would be a job that you could apply to. Then, of course, we're also going to answer what are you going to do as a data advisor at a later moment. But the main thing here is to prove that there are jobs out there and to give you an idea that these are valid. For the second question, and that's a bit more important because this is what you're going to do. It's nice that there's a job. It's nice that there's a paycheck. But more importantly, you need to become happy. So let's look into what you will become or what you could become if you follow the ICT and business track. To give you a bit of an idea of how things are related, I draw down a company with a data engineer, and the data engineer builds up that database, who is then communicating with a data analyst, who analyzes the data within that database that is being built for him. And to make it comprehensible for management, because management, the CEO or the CFO does not talk in data, they talk in knowledge or information. We have a business engineer to create that translation. And if one of these roles are not available within the organization, you could hire a IT consultant. So those are the 4 roles that are applicable when graduating. In a quick overview of the data engineer, they store all data that's being generated within an organization. And from the same perspective, they also build up the structure so that it is possible to store this. And more importantly, that you can also access your data, because it's nice to store everything on one big pile, but if no one can find it, yeah, that's not very useful. Then you just are a warehouse with a lot of paper and no one wants to have that. So what are kind of skills that you need? You need SQL, you need Excel, data modeling, but also on the soft skill, you need to have an attention to detail, need to be structured, investigative. You want to be able to understand how things work and why things need to be stored. If you go for the data analyst, that's the one that looks at the data that's being stored and tries to make a story out of it, tries to create information. For that, you also will need SQL. You need to be able to access the database, but you also need to be able to do some statistics and some data modeling, because that data needs to be modeled and shown to the outside world, and a translation from just numbers into a graph, and that graph needs to be relevant. So again, you need to be analytic and have an attention to detail. And then you are going to work on a more visualization and working towards presenting that data. If I continue from there, we had the business engineer, and that was that link between the data analyst who does the raw statistical data analysis and upper management. And then more leadership roles come into mind. Having a broader mindset, having a good understanding of different business principles. So what are they doing? They are mainly communicating between the engineers, or specifically the IT gurus, and upper management, are we able to get the right information for management, and are we able to set up our organization in such a way that all the processes are functioning to top efficiency? In the end, making money for the company. And lastly, you have the external expert as an IT consultant. You need to have your basic programming skills. You need to know how software works, because it could very well be that you are going to sell an IT solution, and you are going to be that link between the company you're trying to sell something to and a software engineer that's going to make this. So you need to have those basic skills in programming. You need to have an understanding of Power BI and data modeling. So having that whole picture needs to be there. And of course, presentation skills, communication skills, being able to sell something. Those are roughly the 4 roles that we're looking at. That does not mean that you're limited to these roles. Most students will end up with some kind of a mix or something completely different, which is very well possible, because we try to train you with basic knowledge rather than saying you are going to become this role. How do we do that? We are going to teach you different languages. We are going to teach you different models, etc. So I try to group it a little bit. Programming wise, we have chosen for R as a language. That's more than what pirates talk about. R is a open source language loosely based on Python, and is a real strong tool to build up dashboards, to build up data overview, and almost everywhere in the world where companies or organizations are in need of understanding what is happening, R is implemented, or a variation of this, and then most likely you will see Python and Pandas, which we offer in one of our specializations. And being able to make these kind of dashboards allows upper management, we're talking CEOs, CFOs, factory managers, to understand what is happening on the shop floor. And you will be able to translate what is stored in raw data, what is actually being done every time that someone clicks a button, to make that translation into a dashboard so that the CEO understands his factory again. And R is one of the languages that is really well suited for this, and you will be learning this. We talked about data management, and we are going to teach you SQL. We're going to teach you how to model data, and we're going to teach you different statistics. All of that is needed to build up a database, to be able to set up a data warehouse, and to be able to communicate towards our software engineers saying, okay, this is where I want you to store your data, so that our data analyst can use this. And therefore, you need to be that expert in SQL, data modeling, and statistics to give the right answers, to give the right insights. And lastly, it's not only ICT, it's also business. That means that you will need some knowledge of business principles. And what we're going to talk about is business plan, but also strategy, different goals, KPIs, different models. So a business model canvas, a balanced scorecard, different analysis tools, all these kind of things that are needed to understand how a business operates, to allow you to find a bottleneck or to find a problem within an organization where you can say, I can solve this because I have a good understanding of the data within the organization, and I have a good understanding of the processes within the organization, and I am able to combine these together. That is what makes the strong point. That's a very long story. If I cut it short, what should I be good at? When a student is graduated with us, I think they should be able to go into an organization, no matter how big or how small they are, being able to describe the process. So what is this organization doing? What are the different steps in here? And determine based on this process where issues are, where problems are, and using data analysis to show that these problems can be solved and how these should be solved. And that is a role. If you're able to do that, the 4 roles that I mentioned earlier are then easy for you to get a job in and to actually become one of those roles. What should you be good at? Well, analytical skills. You should have some kind of a business mindset because you are going to communicate with management. You need to be creative. You need to be communicative. Being able to communicate with your peers with different levels within the organizations, going all the way down to the conveyor belt operator to higher management of the CEO. You need to have some kind of a structured mindset. So if you're going to build up a database, you need to be able to think in a structured manner so that everything is stored properly. And last but not least, and that's the most important thing, willing to learn. And that should already hinge you towards why should you go to Fontys and are you fit to go into Fontys? If you are willing to learn, then the whole idea of going to Fontys is that we are going to enhance this. The motto is not isn't think bigger for nothing. So the idea is we want your creativity, we want your willingness to learn, to excel. So as I said, Fontys has 5 complete educations in ICT. That means the 5 different profiles, and we're going to add on top of that different specialization to create a nice mix. It's an international focus. It has a large campus and personal attention to students. And most importantly, you don't have to make a choice from the start. So as I said at the very start, you're going to get an orienting level and you're going to make a decision from there. So you have time to make the right questions. You have time to talk to students. You have time to talk with teachers what you want to do. And we want you to get the right education because this is something you're going to do for quite a long time. And from a teaching perspective, we also invite you to learn, to develop new skills. We are not going to throw you into a lecture room with 500 other students because that's something we don't see efficient. We don't see the right results from there. We'd rather get more personal interaction with students and teachers together and students among students, learning new skills. And then you're going to listen to a professor that stands in front of a classroom for 500 students and there is no personal interaction. Because you can learn that in a different way. It's more about social and more about that willingness to learn and how to develop that. And of course, we are going to get some tough topics in there as well, as I showed you earlier. So you will get into classes of 25 students with then different teachers that are going to guide you. So you will get different perspectives on the same topic, which personally I think is a very strong start point. We like to get into this innovative learning environment mainly with the idea of getting you outside of that lecture room of 500 students because we want to have that personal interaction. So we have quite a nice building. Leo has this as his background, and this is new. It allows us to do all kinds of different things within the building. And currently we are in here for, I'd say 3 months regular because it's that new. So we're really investigating what can we do with the building, how can we use this, what kind of activities can we explore. So that means for new students as well, you are more than welcome to explore what possibilities we have. This is the schedule. So if you want to find other programs, we have technology, infrastructure, and media for the follow-ups sessions. And then there is more additional information. You can register at our website. And then this is the instruction, but you have done that so far. And as I can see, 𝗪𝗁 is typing along with them. Yeah. So the main thing is with respect to understanding what we do, find a study that suits you best. We are very open towards new students, allowing you to find different profiles, to find your spot within Fontys, and also to see whether this is your fit or not. So make sure to use these opportunities. Join in on the virtual open days, join in on meet and greets on campus, ask around. Have a look at our different social medias because it shows additional information, and making the right choice requires multiple sources. And ask around. Both Leo and 𝗪𝗁 are available for questions. Any technical questions with respect to sign up, I will forward you to Leo. Any questions regarding business, you can always ask me. If you send the email to us, it will arrive with me. And any questions that I cannot answer and you still have, still feel free to send them. I will try to find the answer, because that's the most important thing.
Okay, thanks a lot, Matthijs, for your straightforward and clear presentation. Ahmed is still there. He's still the only visitor, so I would say this is the best example of the personal attention we give to students. So Ahmed, I would like to invite you to more questions you probably have, as what Matthijs, for example, mentioned, questions related to practical matters. Yeah, you already told us you are living in Amsterdam. So my first question would be, are you planning, you told us in the beginning of this webinar that you are planning to start in February, so in a couple of months. So what are your plans? Do you want to move over to Eindhoven, or do you want to travel each day?
Yeah, for now, yeah, maybe I will look for a room there. If I couldn't find a place, so I will have to travel daily with a travel card, with a student card. I don't know. Also, I have actually a question about the schedule and daily life. Like, will we have like a daily lectures and classes, or is it depends?
Yes, so it's a full-time study program. So in theory, you have classes from Monday till Friday. Right now, the program is, at what Matthijs already mentioned, we are in a brand new building. We are teaching our students in so-called OILs, operating IT laboratories. I think that's the abbreviation stands for. That means we don't have, let's say, only classrooms, but we also have laboratory spaces, open spaces where students can do their assignments, private or in groups, whatever. So that means that for all the subjects, as what Matthijs already mentioned, in the first semester, we do an orientation on 5 profiles that goes from Monday till Friday. And of course, it's possible that on one of these days you have a half day off, whatever. But in principle, you need to be here from Monday till Friday. And there will be a change in the curriculum per February. So then the first semester will look a little bit different than what we have presented to you now. But basically, it will be more or less the same, that you will do a kind of orientation on these 5 profiles, but in a somewhat different way than what we're doing right now. Do you have some information, Matthijs?
Yeah, I can give some insights there. The program itself will change. That means that we will have one focus language that we're going to focus all the 5 profiles on, and we're going to look at the 5 different aspects. So we're going to look at Python, and then look at using Python, looking at 5 different aspects of the profile.
Okay.
But for the rest, everything is the same. You are going to get an orienting level. Okay, what do I want to choose? You make your choice midway in the semester, and you're going to test this in a more advanced way. Is this profile suiting for me?
Yeah, from a student perspective, am I right that the workload will be a little bit less than what it is now?
The workload will not be less. It will be more efficient, so to say.
Okay.
With the idea of going to only one language, being able to display all the 5 profiles, it makes it easier, because then you don't have to make that change between different languages.
Okay.
Sorry, programming languages, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so you said also there's a first semester will be like orientation for all the profiles. So this profiles is about like the business and the technology and hard software engineering.
Yeah.
Okay, so and after
business.
that will I have like to choose one of them from the second semester?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea is we have 5 different profiles. That's because ICT is so big that we cannot teach everything that is needed. So there's so many different requirements in the field that we have made this split into 5 profiles, and you will see the same or similar types of profiles with other universities, because the whole of the Netherlands has split it up in this manner, with the idea of we have business, which is looking at different processes and data management. We have infrastructure, which is more towards cloud management and networking. We have software, which is the old school programming and coding. We have media, which is web development, user interfaces. So how do I interact with different media? And lastly, we have technology, which is more the hardware. How do I manage and steer hardware? So if I have a robot arm, the arm that's, for example, needed in the ISS space station, that's being steered with someone that's from technology. And
yes, in the meantime, Elga already put a lot of information in the chat. Ahmed, I would suggest when the webinar is over, have a look at it, because it will take you quite some time to watch all the videos, etc. But as what Matthijs mentioned, this is very important, especially for you, to make a good choice. By the way, don't forget, traveling from Amsterdam to Eindhoven every day, it's also kind of a workload, so be prepared for that. If you want to find student accommodation for February intake, it's easier than for September intake, but you need to do it by yourself because you're already living in the Netherlands. Maybe Elga, you can also send in or put in the chat the overview of the student accommodation agencies, so that Ahmed at least can consult them and for more information. Yeah, there is one more student coming in. 𝗕𝗓. We also met each other yesterday, if I'm not wrong.
You are right.
Yes.
I recognize the name.
Yes, I recognize the name. Yeah,
welcome. Leo, what I would like to do is ask Anna about her experience.
Yes, that would be great. Anna is, in the meantime, she arrived.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hello, Anna.
Hello, let me put my camera on. One second. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
I know you have not prepared anything.
Yeah, no essay this time.
So it's a bit out of the blue. Could you give a bit of an insight of what student life is, what studying at Fontys is, and what studying business is from your own perspective?
Well, starting from my student life, so far it's been great, even though I've been started as with Corona and I've been in lockdown here. But still, due to me living in a student dorm, due to Fontys being so broad in variety of buildings and education perspective at all, I have friends in communication, I have friends at TV. You can meet so many students here due to having TV campus, which is like really close to us, having Fontys as well. And we have so many buildings as well as like so many students as well as like internationals, which is really awesome for the cultural perspective of you learn different varieties of people. Like I'm from Russia, right? And I have friends from Italy, Germany, even like some friends. So this has been really great. About its self-education at Fontys, I think if you will pick ICT, you have such an variation of having a job afterwards because it's so broad. Especially if you go through an orienting phase, you will understand it by yourself, having like an opportunity to learn part of infrastructure, technology, business, and overall. Moving from this little perspective of orientation, this goes an advanced phase, which you allowed to pick. For example, I picked business right away. So you will able to learn that part more in depth. And then moving on to the second semester, and you also can switch whatever you prefer to. For example, if like you think like media is your thing now, then you can also easily switch. There's no issue with it. And then later on, you also have a third semester, which I'm on right now. Also teaches you more in the business and ICT perspective. Like you will be able to learn RStudio, SQL. Now I'm learning Power BI, which is also really broad and knowledgeable for you to apply in real world in your internship later on. And then in the fourth semester, you have an opportunity to pick specialization. Specialization doesn't not need to be in your business perspective. It also can be game design if you want to learn that, cybersecurity, anything would you like prefer. And in my perspective, I'm picking smart industries because that's what I'm really interested in. And you also have an opportunity to learn more in that. Then comes an internship, which I'm not really aware much of yet at this stage, but it's really helpful for you to be able to live through an actual experience. Fontys overall provides you a lot of practices, a lot of project works, which is really helpful to get that understanding or a little taste of an actual world compared to like, for example, itself TV, because it's research-based, right? So it's more theory, and for us, we do a lot of practical aspect, which is pretty awesome. And in overall, you will just able to learn so much. And again, English is a huge perspective for you because we always speak English to each other, no matter if you're Bulgarian, Romanian, or Russian. There's always collaboration through one student to another. And we also help each other during this project work because you can able to see the things of one another, learn from each other, which has been really awesome and great so far. So yeah, and that's been my experience so far. And if you have any questions, you can always let me know. So yes, I think that's it. If you have something, ask me, add me as well.
Yeah, maybe Anna, you can put your email in the chat if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me first find it.
As for the internship that you mentioned, that allows you to do a few things. First of all, it allows you to see how a real job looks like, to put it bluntly. To test yourself against experienced employees to see how much you have learned in the last 4 semesters and where you stand and what you still need to learn. It also allows you to gain experience. And that experience goes on your resume. The vacancy that I showed you earlier requires 2 years of work experience. The good thing is, when you graduate within Fontys, you can already claim for 1 year of work experience, namely your internship in your graduation track. So you can make use of that as well. So when you are going to be graduating within Fontys, you have that experience. You know what a company looks like. You have some different. You've created a network, not only with students but also within 2 companies already. And that's from a University of Applied Sciences a perspective that we try to apply in the Netherlands.
And also important to mention, as an intern, you also receive a small salary already. It depends on the assignment and the company, of course.
Yeah.
But for a lot of students, they don't need to have side jobs then anymore. Okay, yeah, because we have 2 visitors, 𝗪𝗲𝗄 and 𝗪𝗕𝗢, do you have any questions left? Otherwise, I think Matthijs has given quite some good information about the content of the ICT and Business program. I would say very good information, so very understandable, clear and straightforward, as I already mentioned. Yeah, whenever you have more questions, please let us know, because indeed it's very important for you to make a good study choice, because it will take you at least 4 years, and maybe afterwards you want to stream up in a master program, which is of course also an option. Then you study maybe for 5 or 6 years, but don't forget, after that you have to work in that field for maybe 40 years. So your study choice is your basics, your fundamentals, your foundation for the rest of your life, I would say. Yeah. Of course, finding a nice partner and all these things also involve in having a good life, but it starts with your education now. So yeah, spend some good time on it to find out what suits you best. And for 𝗪𝗲𝗄, because you're living in Amsterdam, you also have the option to visit our physical open day on the 27th of November. Yeah, so you can also make a registration for that. Feel free to come and visit us. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, I already registered. Yeah, I will be there.
Okay, great.
Then we will see each other.
Yeah,
it will be nice.
I will be there as well.
Okay,
cool.
Great. So if you don't have any more questions, I would say thanks a lot, Matthijs. Thanks a lot, Anna. Thanks a lot, Elga, for putting all the information in the chat. And of course, thanks to 𝗪𝗲𝗄 and 𝗪𝗕𝗢 for being a visitor in today's webinar. Wish you all the best. And yeah, hopefully we will meet again sometime, someplace in Eindhoven.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you all.
Okay, see you.
Yeah, have a nice evening. Goodbye.
You too. Bye.
Goodbye.
Oké, dat was hem dan. Sluiten we af.